soul before the moon. Was there something to say? Make it all better. That's all I can do. No story. No, no, no. Hi, hello, welcome. You are very blessed. I was being mindful of your eyes for the lighting. I'm being mindful of your eyes and my own. And lose the spectacles. Such a spectacle, Elliot. Hi, I'm Elliot. And I can't help it. You make light of me. But what I feel inspired spontaneously, like not so spontaneously, it's been in the media that I'm consuming. I don't mean the mainstream media. I mean the media that I choose. So as to say, it's been it's part of my intuitive stream. To speak a little bit, it's on my mind, it's in my heart about imprisonment. And not some referential definition of it, but what it could mean. So let's talk, it means talking about this word freedom that we use. It means rights, deservedness, and authority. Responsibility, not just of ourselves, but supposedly responsibility over ourselves. What does it mean to be a prisoner? Well, full disclosure, I've never been in jail in this life. I've never, not for anything, not for
a day in lockup, for a little indecent exposure. What up? Didn't wear my gloves and it was cold outside. That's not decent.
I don't know. And that's hardly any disclosure. I just wanted to make, that's the retrospective point, which we will understand more together as we continue. Which I'm sure by now you're familiar with, because that's pretty much how I speak. It's like at the very end, I'll say something that makes everything I say make sense a little bit more than gibberish. Jibber jabber. And I will try and stay light because I love you, and that's how we roll. I don't know. There's only, I think, a few times where I've gotten a little bit serious on the video, and really, it's irresponsible of me to get too stern to a camera reflecting my own image. Because I love me. And even if I'm talking to the not you, I'm still here and you're still here. And you don't get my angry voice. Even, actually, I know for sure I've never used it on this because my angry voice isn't scary, it's potent. Boom. Hi, my name is Elliot, and I'm silly. What spurred me mostly to speak to this topic was the idea of armament, most specifically guns. When I was younger, which could be yesterday, but what I mean is a ute. One of my very first like worldly ambitions was global disarmament. This was before all the like gun stuff in the media. Like I said, it's when I was a youth, and that's 30 odd years, but maybe not that long. I was young, though. I was a kid when I was like, no more guns. And this is why, even then, without the depth of like appreciation, understanding of like socio-political imprisonment and freedom, even as a young person, I was like, guns gives like stupid people power over smart people, right? Like it's a no-brainer. Like when I was a kid, what was fairly popular in like the mainstream indoctrination was people dying accidentally from kids shooting them in the face. I need to say no more. So there was that, like at least to bring it to my awareness. But like if a child can kill an adult by accident, then any adult can kill any adult by accident. And I mean, I was a child. It was easy for me to understand. Like I don't know better. I do stupid shit, and like I've been subject to other children doing stupid shit, and you know, it's like, well, it's because we're kids. We don't really understand. It's like, okay, cool. Like, I'll understand when you're older. And then you kind of do. And you're like, oh, it's like, I wouldn't have shot you in the face if I'd known when I was older. And that doesn't change with age. That's a listening thing. By listening, I mean, you're listening to your life, paying attention to it. You're listening to your inner voice, and you're listening to other people's voice truly, and not just your own inner narration / critique of what you think that they're saying, which is very commonly mistaken for listening. Little hint, you'll know someone is doing that when they're really good at replaying precisely what you said, and they totally missed your meaning. But you said, I was like, I said that. I was like, oh man, that's awkward. Yeah, I said that, but I saw like this. Like, oh, you. Thanks for the replay. This is what I said, and this is what I meant by what I said. See how I still meant what I said by what I said? How did you miss that? And then when I said it, how did you like not check if you thought I meant what I didn't mean? First of all, you thought I was either stupid, cruel, or mistaken. So why didn't you like clarify? Or like think better of me, and then be like, wait, are you being an asshole right now? It's like, oh, I don't mean to be. Why do you say that? Because you just said that. Oh no. Oh, I understand how that's how you meant. That's how you can get what I said. What you mean? What I meant by what I said. But I didn't mean that. If I say it another way, this is what I meant. Oh, so yeah. So it's like, oh gosh, that's a lot of work. No, it's not. It's just what conversation and like connecting to people is. It's like that's all it is. It's not gossip. It's not talking. I've never spent I spend no time talking about other people. Mostly because I don't have a lot of people in my life right now, but let's go my whole life. I just don't do it. I don't think you do either, but we know people that do. And it's different from venting and expressing one's thoughts and feelings about how they feel in reference to how another person feels. A good, like, again, like another, like, maybe pointer or um, like skill check for that. I'm getting a little distracted now. Is, would you say exactly what you said to a person's face? No matter how mean, like maybe you wouldn't say it precisely that mean, but would you if you had to? Or would you if you were like, if your friend called you to do it, like if you were like, they're like, actually they're right here and it said this, you're like, cool, thanks for just like sharing my thoughts to someone else. I thought I was just venting, but cool. Yes, I did say that. If you can wholeheartedly say yes, and that's not gossiping. It's being self-integral and expressive of your emotions and your feelings. It also, it also presents one as being emotional, which is to say the feelings move through them. If you can at any given point be honest about how you feel and felt at any given point, then emotions don't get stuck in you. Which is to say that because emotions can't get stuck in you, emotions are by definition like energetic movement. It's the flow of spirit, of life force. And when emotions get stuck in us, they stop being emotions and they stay in the kind of compartments of thought and feeling. The thought of something conjures the feeling, or the feeling of something conjures the thought of it, and there's the disconnect that prevents freedom of movement. What, and it's all imprisonment, right? Like when, what does it? I think we're just talking about it, but what does it mean to be a prisoner, to be imprisoned, if I can't be free to be what I truly am in a given moment? Then in a way, I'm imprisoned. In that way, whatever that way that is, I'm imprisoned. So now we can, this is not necessarily true, but we can say truly about like our greater culture that imprisonment comes in at least two forms, other and self. Because ultimately, all imprisonment has its rootedness in externality. I don't know. Externality. They're not real words, but they're real words because I say so. So I think externality kind of external. I think that one sounds like a better rhyme. What do you think? I don't know. We'll work on it. Which is to say, all imprisonment has its rootedness in a feeling of being trapped around you, right? It's something that's happening because of something outside of you. It's you're imprisoned. You're not free to be something else past that boundary in expressing to the external. And then also all imprisonment is fundamentally subject to perception of self, because one can be in a cell and be free, and one can be um, censored externally, but free always by virtue of how they see or perceive their own situation. And rather than recap, this is the beauty of like video and streaming. We can always rewind. I never really do. No, that's not true. I do that all the time because I like to hear again. It's like, no, stay on track, Elliot. Stay on track. But I like getting distracted by good things. I know. You're a prisoner to your happiness. Yeah, I'm on. Let's continue. I want to go back to my youthful dream of global disarmament. And I'm going to say guns, but I really mean armament, like the right to bear arms, which people think they know. I don't know. And how you know is that they think they know. I think that I know, and I know that I don't know. But I want to talk to you about what I know and I don't know. That's another good like little marker for trust. Which isn't to say that there are some things that you can't know certainly. There's only one like spectrum of thing that you can know certainly, and that's what's eternal, and that's love. That when you really mean and say I love you, how do you know? You don't know. That actually you can know. Because what never changes, what has never changed, can never change. Like what is unchangeable is incorruptible. Right? Like it's like, that's it. That's actually self-explanatory. Namaste. Blessed, reversed, is still blessed. It's just backwards. So let's talk about that a little bit. The guns and who has them. This video is going to get a little socially racy or socio-politically racy. But like, fuck. Isn't it about time? Like that. Your connection's unstable. It's like, no shit. It's because this connection isn't my own, but trust me. Our connection, stable as fuck. But I will ground just to give the old finger to the finger. I'm such a nerd. I mean, like the finger to like the invisible hand was like my little joke to myself. I'm awesome. Like to me, that was a self-expression. But I think that you know that because all strange people have probably gotten pretty good at being kind to themselves externally as an external representation of what they've always felt internally. It's like, fuck it, I can express it every way. And only just not yet have we been, has there been environments built by us or our predecessors that have been, I don't know, sturdy enough to be secure against ridicule and safety. What makes an officer of the law a better judge of life and death over you? What makes an officer of the law more responsible over your life and your death than you? In any given situation. And by an officer of the law, I mean the human that is that job. Okay, just FYI. So we're not like creating character judgment. I mean like that person and you person, what qualifies them to be a better judge of situational awareness, right and wrong, morality, appropriateness, human nature, better nature, probability, safety, security? What makes what gives them the right as humans that are like a subset of our society to wield the only weapons, because they're like, by virtue of like them being a class of their own, and also the fact that like yeah, all the other weapons are illegal, right? Like what makes them as a subset of society, as a subset of society, the humans, them, makes them, qualifies them to have that power over the rest of society. Let's not really answer that question quite yet. And instead, let's look at the environment, at like the, I want to say the popular environment of a prison, because I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what a prison's like. I've never been to one. I was part of a yoga program that taught to underserved youth and populations. It's called New Leaf Yoga Foundation. Only beautiful people. I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I fielded. See what I did there? It's because like fielded, but it's also like field, fielded. Yeah. Anyways, I served like I do children. I've worked with children practically my whole life. I'm an awesome teacher of the youth. But some of the programs that we worked with taught in prisons. So it's not like being a prisoner is the only way to know what a prison's like, but make no mistake, almost no one knows what prison's like, because we only know what's on television and part of our television shows, which is a show. It's propaganda. It's conditioning. There, in a world, in like a culture of deception, there will always be a hiding of the worst and most shameful of truths. So make no mistake, We have no idea what it's really like. So we've got to imagine. And instead of imagining its environment too harshly, we can instead just go with what we can be a little bit more certain about, which is what the experiences that we're afraid to have / lose because of what it means to be a prisoner, to go to prison, right? Well, you can't leave if you want to. Well, why can't you leave when you want to? Because the doors are locked. Okay? The doors are locked, and there are more than one there's more than one moat of doors that seal you away from the outside world if you wanted to leave. Also, it means you can't go because you could get shot, right? Like, okay, so the doors are locked. Well, who's got the keys? Other people. Okay, well, what gives them the right to have the keys over you? We go to the law. It's like, okay. But this is true for every single prisoner everywhere. It doesn't matter how right or wrong we've judged their deeds or character. If it's every question of right or wrong is a question and a judgment, what's right to me is not always going to be what's right to you. Further, condemnation and consequence as a sentence, as appropriateness, is not going to be what's right. What's right to me isn't going to be what's right to you. So what qualifies the key holders? What qualifies the judges? And because, for the sake of brevity and conversation, and the fact that I'm fielding your thoughts and feelings collectively, but also really specifically and symbolically / psychically, so not linguistically, I'm just gonna, and the answer is, in a way, those that have gotten the jobs, which have passed the tests, which means they've gotten the right answers, which means they didn't question the questions, which means they agree with a specific set of laws, a specific viewpoint that no one, like, subject to, really had a say of like voting in or voting out or saying, yes, I agree with that, or no, I agree with that. Like, nobody asked me about what's legal or illegal in the world that I live in, which might sound crazy, but doesn't it kind of sound a little crazy that, like, we're born into a world with a bunch of rules that we have no say about? Right? Like, to have a say about the rules, which we have no say about, we have to play by the rules, which we probably don't agree with, slash don't find like right, or just like, I can't, like, how am I supposed to do that? You know, if that's what exactly what I don't agree with. Or you have to you have to be a part of that. It's like you have to be a part of the system. Well, fuck that. I want to say that, but that means too many like meme things. Meme things. Um, uh, to I don't know. I'm imagining. I don't know. There's like this show. I don't know what it is. But it's really fat. Um, Not really fat. I was gonna say really funny. It's a moo because I'm also thinking of Homer when he was wearing a moo, and she was, I think, named Mimi in a sitcom. I don't know. She was the best, and she made me laugh, and that's what I'm thinking of. Moo. And I'm imprisoned a little bit here by what can be mistaken. So prisoners don't have a say about anything, right? In fact, most prisoners have to get a lawyer to say what they would like hope to say about rightness or wrongness, about their actions one or another. And it's a rare slice of humanity that does things that they know is like morally wrong to themselves. And usually what's morally wrong to one person is at least shared by a greater group of people. And I don't mean just like black and white morally. Like, it's like, yeah, okay, it's morally wrong to break the law to survive. It's not right to steal other people's shit. It's like, yes, but that's not what Moses was talking about when he brought those fucking rocks down from the mountain. You mean like, don't break the law and steal people's shit. It meant like, don't fucking write your name in the fucking grass and be like, this is my lawn. I own this shit. This is my land. I own this shit. Yeah, you see this? See this here? From that tree to that tree? You can't cross here because it's mine now. That's stealing. I have this and you don't. Now it's starting to get a little complicated, so we don't need to go more complex. Like, we don't have to go more down that road or that path. But we've touched on like another aspect of being a prisoner. You can't have what you want. You can only have what you want within the environment of allowance. Like, a prisoner can have, I don't know, like the cellmate that they want. They can have like the job, because prisoners work. In fact, in case you didn't know, so much of our like Western economy is fueled by, especially the American. But I'm not going to like just pigeonhole them, even though they're like the king of prison countries. And it's like a bit of a bad rap because America's huge. But whatever. Most like that's why I say Western. Blah blah blah. Like, the prison economy to like the economy is huge. I would even go so far as to say like could be the reason. Beyond also like subjugating and imprisoning people that don't agree with your rules, your laws. Right? So where were we? Can't have what you want. You can want something, but if you want something, there's a very specific way of getting it, right? Or they got like what's that? They can have money, but they can't have that much money. And then they've got it's like I can't remember what it's called. The, but basically, it's like the tuck shop. You know, you can get certain things, but you can't get other things. And then there's sex, right? Because that's all conjugals are good for. And visitation, right? You couldn't possibly want to spend time with another human being in a room by yourself with them just for the sake of being on your own with them. And not because you have secrets to tell, but just because that environment is in a different world. It's a different universe than being in a room or across a glass pane, which we know all about. Glass and pane. So even if you do believe that way and you are a prisoner, you have to mind fuck it, right? Like you have to do that extra step of reinventing your physical environment to make it make more sense to you, because the rules and the laws of your world don't agree with you. Do not allow you. Basically, you're not allowed. You're in prison. Okay, so you got to make it work for you. Your diet gets limited, right? You can only eat certain things. You can only eat what they feed you. Your activities are limited, right? You can only do what you're allowed at certain times. I'm thinking about going outside when you're not allowed to go outside because it's outside one of the walls, right? One of the moats of allowability, with time being like the ultimate like fuck you. And time for this, and time for that, and time for this, and time for that, and lights out, lights on, roll call. Yeah, man, I'm still here. I'm in prison. Fuck you. Right? Is any of this starting to sound super familiar? Because that's kind of a little bit what I wanted to hopefully just check. I don't want to say like talk to or prove, because there's nothing to prove, but like we can discuss things and come to similar conclusions by virtue of our reasons, our reasonability, and our sensibilities and our rationalities. Which seldom are all the same, but only because we live in a stupid world of not our making. It's part of the point I want to make. And that's a point I'm always trying to make. Because when you look at your life right now, your life is your world. Can you just... let's do this together. It'll be powerful. Looking out into your world, which includes must, your inner world, right? It's like look out in your world and just like limit it to one thing in your world that you didn't choose. And then all I want you to do So you can take your hand to your heart, you can just feel your heart, connect it to like everywhere, like almost like your heart and all your chakras, but they don't even have to guess. It's like roots spreading, but instead of spreading into the ground, it's like everywhere is the ground. So it's just like from your heart and spreads everywhere, including behind you. You're like, I do not choose that. Not I did not, I do not. Because if you do not, you clearly did not. But if you did not, you could now. I didn't choose that, but I choose that now. That's possible. I do not choose that. We'll do that together because I've been talking. I haven't done it really myself, so I'm gonna do it with you. Just look into your world and we'll do it together. Just like I don't choose this. I didn't choose this, and I don't choose this. This is not my choice. Because in a world of co-creation, where like on some level we chose all this, on another level, it is super important that we did create the distinction of like, I didn't mean that. Like, I didn't. In umbrellas of being, you can choose life, but that doesn't mean a shitty life. You know what I mean? You can choose a shitty life, but you didn't. But that doesn't need to mean a life of like needless suffering. Why would you choose a shitty life? Because we are infinite beings. I've lived only good life right now. Living a shitty life looks like it'd be fun. It's like I didn't mean this. This isn't shitty. This like it was shitty. This is way worse than that, and I don't see any extra benefit. I haven't learned anything more. I haven't suffered any like less or more. It's like it's just more shit. It's too shitty. What does it mean to be a prisoner? Imprisonment is a denial of choice. And that doesn't mean not getting what you want. It more means not being allowed to express it. And then there are like umbrellas of connectivity and relatability, because there is no imprisonment without other. Even in a prison of one's own making, some facet of that has to be like relative to other people. Otherwise, you're not in prison. You're just on your own wherever you are. And if that's of your own making and you want it, then sure. And if it's not, if it's on your own and it's not a making, it's like then it's just confusing. But it's super down. We're infinite beings. Do your thing. They're awesome. But here we are collectively experiencing not awesome. And we've created like a wondrously sorted environment of WTF for us to get to experience like I do not choose this and I did not choose this. It took fucking galaxy in the making to create these really improbable, inhumane, unloving situations, but we did it. And because we did it, we found even like a stupendously accessible and nearly unbelievable avenue of love and beauty and truth. What we believe to be true has been refined to something like magic when we lived as beings in a world that we thought was already magical, but that was mundane compared to this greater truth of always love you. And you includes me. Always love you, everything. Because to say always love you, everything is to receive that we are always loved by everything. But if someone tells you I love you every day and you don't believe them, then does that mean that you're not loved? Or does that mean that you don't feel it? And there's a difference, obviously. Because everyone is loved. Everyone is loved stupendously. Not everybody's really good at loving, but everybody could be. And this doesn't need to be true, but if you're loved and you don't pay attention to it, then the fact that you're loved being true doesn't negate the fact that there's something binding you from it. Because if I want to send a friend a knife collection because I know that they are a chef and they love to cook, but they are in prison, they probably won't get my knives. They won't probably get their knives, right? They're in prison. They can't receive everything that is sent to them, even when they want to. So in that way, someone that isn't noticing love, I can speak deeply to this because, hello, I know exactly what that's like, right? You can only speak to what you know in that way. And it's like, wow, we did a great job. Everyone born in this time can relate to that. We all know about not knowing how to fucking feel the love that's in our lives. But we would if we knew we could. So in a way, it's like we're the chef. And we love to cook. But we're forced to use spoons to cut everything. Moving towards a kind of conclusion, I want to move back, or I feel intuitively called back to the same reason that made me kind of really want to talk about it in the first place, because now we're getting a little bit specific, like sociopolitically exact. Because I'm already experiencing it in this stupid world of mainstream media. So dumb. I wasn't allowed to go into the grocery store unless I put on a mask and gloves. It's like, I was like, what do you mean I can't? Like, no. It's for your own good. It's like, it's not for my own good. I'm a scientist. This is stupid. Do you think do you know what a virus is? Do you think putting on a mask and gloves without, I don't know, shielding all your skin and your eyes, like, and your ears, like, what do you think what do you think is going to get in your mouth that won't get in your eyes? Period. Like, just stop there. Never mind. That's not the way it works. It's like, it's not a fucking person with a rifle going into or rather, it kind of is. Okay, it isn't. It isn't. Let's talk about it because we're talking about right and wrong. A person with a gun. No, let's not talk about. Let's talk about like a person breaking the law being shot by a police officer, regardless of what they've done. Getting a virus is kind of like that. It sucks. But getting shot doesn't mean you're going to die. And it's not irrespective of who you are, who you've been, and where you come from. None of which is really your fault in like a socio-political way, but only in like a soul spiritual way, in which case like you can just be like, you can roll with the punches and be like, okay, fine. And how I relate that to the virus is do you like it in a room of 100 people? If you put a virus in there, it's not like tag, where it's like, I touched you, I touched you, I touched you, I touched you. We are not all equal. You've got to have like a susceptibility. And not just that, you've also got to have a lack of like immunoadaptability. Right? Like, I think it's one of the stupidest things in the world to me is like how easy it has been to convince others like that viruses kill people. It's like, if you are like a living / semi-living entity that travels host to host, what good is it to kill your host? Like, you'll die too. Oh, that's stupid. So then why does that exist? Is there like maybe something that we're not understanding correctly? And is it like maybe not our reach to figure out that maybe we're just being coddled / lied to? It's like, if you lie a little, like a half lie about something is a full lie. You can, it's like calling it like what's going on in the world right now and being like, it's a virus. Describing what it looks like doesn't explain what it is. But I was denied entry to a grocery store. And further, there's no grocery store I've been to over the last month, because those are the only places that you can go, right? That's the only things that are open, that I haven't had to like line up neatly for. The biggest reason that ignorance wants you to wear masks is so you can't smile and be seen smiling to another person. You want to control people. You want to do fucked up things to human beings. Take the humanity away from them. make them less human. Put gloves on them, put masks on them, wear your hats, don't go outside. What's imprisonment? Because if I don't want to wear a mask, I don't want to wear gloves, what are my options? And then lastly, this was kind of, I don't know, lastly, but this was like my greater conclusion that I was kind of mind thinking. Even before I zoomed in, I was like, that's Dave. Yeah. My man. It's good to see you, brother. Even before, yeah, sorry, even before I zoomed in, I was still on the enjoyment. It's really good to see you, dude. And I don't mean here on the sidebar with the smiley faces. I mean here. It's really good to see you. Thank you for joining me. And everyone always. Which we are. Mid day, everybody, like, yeah, man, we are. Okay. The conclusion. This was the conclusion that I was thinking. Because I didn't really ever have a choice about the rules of our greater society. What's the opposite of greater on a scale? Isolated. I never really got to say yes to any of this. I was never really given the choice of no. It's like whenever I read, and you might want to do this too. Whenever you see click here to accept, I agree, accept for cookies, all that shit. Always, this is important on like a soul, spirit, mind fuck thing. Always say no. Like click accept, click agree, whatever. But as you do that, mean with all of your being, no. Because is there like spellcraft? Yes. Is it more powerful than you? No. So does it really fucking matter? No. But only if you include it in your awareness. And you're not going to load the fucking screen unless I click yes. Oh, it's free but only if I accept your terms. So it's not free. I'm going to click yes. But just because my finger traces the cursor to these lines in a row, I mean no. Because you'll never know. No, 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 no. It's important. There's nowhere in the world that you can go. This is what I was thinking. It's like I was born Canadian. I'm very grateful to be born Canadian. I was born in Toronto. I think it's the best fucking city in the world. To have been born in, a lot has changed. I feel very grateful. And that's not a point of like national pride. It's like just everywhere that I've been, I'm glad and grateful for it. But I didn't choose as an alive human being. Okay. So all the rules and laws and all the, the healthcare, this, all that, I didn't say yes to any of that. Or rather, for all the yeses, I could never say no. It's like, you could not have a driver's license and then you could not drive. But this is what I was thinking too. It's like, when I was younger, I figured a driver's license, you had to get a driver's license to prove that you could drive. Only as I grew older did I learn that it has nothing to do with proving that you can drive. There are tons of motherfuckers on the road that don't know how to drive that have a driver's license. And knowing how to drive by no means necessitates like a regular renewal of said license at stupidly short periods for relatively like exorbitant amounts of money. It's like, no, it's just it's just monetization of the commons and of what's free. Right? I'm going to zoom in. Oh, yes, I'm going to say that because that's really well said and perfectly true. This is Tree Hugger Dave Mahoney. If you don't know him, he is a prophet of the good. You consciously have to override Maya illusions by standing as God/source or God source and declare self-sovereignty within the play, knowing consciousness trumps all reality traps. I want to say it again because it like rolls off my tongue, but it's worth reading. You consciously have to override my illusions by standing as God source and declare self-sovereignty within the play, knowing consciousness trumps all reality traps. Sugar Dave Mahoney, folks. He's got the rest of the show. Thanks for having me. Honestly, I'm Elliot. Dave's here. I'm good. Blessed. Peace. Mic drop. Damn. Oh, I can't wait to read the book you write. And it could just be like koans, you know, like just fucking haikus that obey the rules of trees as opposed to coups of hike. Thank you for sharing that. That's gorgeous. I'm going to actually copy it. And include it in beautiful things that I read. Thank you, Dave. It's especially awesome because it's so succinct and like myself, like we can be poetic and like visual slash like wordsmith and like fun. And you've obviously still done that, but every single word there is specific and right and lands and is useful. Thank you very much, Dave, for all of us, for being you fucking legend. How could I not read what he says next? Now, to expand the mind, God / is division line, source. Ooh, I like that. Laughing in position of God being divided by source like math. See, now I'm like, this is how I write. This one, it's more of a reader. But I can say it again too, because you should have to read it like poetry. Now, to expand the mind, God / is division line, source. Laughing in position of God being divided by source like math class. Source below. God sits above the line. Illusion is the linear line. Legend! Legend, Trevor Dave Mahoney here. Thank you. Thank you. Fuck. That's awesome. It's another copy and paster. I'm going to wrap that into our talk of imprisonment with my final thoughts on armament and what it means to be free. And then I'm going to come back to the comments because I get lovingly distracted. Well, not distracted. I just like to, you know me. I divide consciousness lines. Booyakasha! if I could wish for less than what I truly desire, then I would wish that there was a land that I could go where the rules for being all that I am and just that I am, we were made by me. And subject to the like compromise slash compliance slash abridgment, infusion, and sharing thereof of all, but just and only the other people in my life that I'd have to ask to abide it. And by virtue of our sharing the land, that I'd agree to abide by theirs. And that there would be no rule that was arbitrarily set to be a restriction on my freedoms as judged by someone that doesn't know my name, if not written down on a piece of paper, and that doesn't know what it's like to not just walk in my own shoes, but walk in their own shoes that shares the same paths in the community that we both walk in. Because if I went to a grocery store with people that I know and that know me, they're not just stocking shelves and performing transactions, but hosting a position of value exchange in which I'm exchanging value and they're exchanging value by virtue of our virtue. Then I wouldn't, they wouldn't force me to do anything. And if they asked me to do something that I didn't agree with, it would matter that I didn't want to agree. And we could talk about it. And I wouldn't be dismissed or have to refuse because I walked away. So no, I'm not going in there. You can't make me do something that I don't want to do. Especially when it's not, like, don't tell me it's for my own good when I know it's exactly not. I don't live in a land where people aren't policed because nobody's deputized. And that positions of power are held only by those with great responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. It's not power then responsibility. People don't understand about that saying, about much saying. It's all about emphasis. Emphasis. And all you got to do is say that sentence with reluctance. With great power comes great responsibility. wants great power? It's a great responsibility. One follows the other. And because there's nowhere in the world that I can go to explore this right, this freedom, there's nowhere. And it's not like the fucking movies. Right? Just because like there's no place that's lawless. The only reason a place would deteriorate to I don't know, some form of like inhumanity is if if it's resultant of inhumanity and forced to be confined by inhumanity. You drop a bunch of people off on an island, and they'll figure out a way to be happy so easily. So easily. You turn off all the lights and you leave and everything breaks and like and all of like society's like social infrastructure falls apart so quickly you'll find communities take care of each other. Communities form because there are none, and then they take care of each other because it's easier, it feels better, and it's easier. The only things that get in the way of that ultimately are weapons of destruction, weapons of mass destruction, which are all weapons because everything has mass, which is neither here nor there. I'm a big fan of, and this is different from when I was younger because like I was like mass disarmament, no weapons, blah blah blah. But now it's like weapons aren't the enemy. There's like an appropriateness, but there's also like a big like there's an iron curtain around technology. Like there's a reason that they don't use guns in Star Wars. Right? There's something actually fundamental to our beingness that takes power away from bullets and guns and things like that. But I digress. I'm talking a little bit about superpowers, or what seems like superpowers, but they're really super normal powers. Supernatural powers. And one man's gun is another man's bank account. Right? Because what's so different between bullets and dollars? They're only used to kill. Ultimately. They're only used to control. They're only used for fear. Even when they're not, it's under the umbrella of that use. Because nothing costs money. And the fact that what did I think? All facts are facsimiles. There's a reason they share that root. There's no such thing as a fact. What do you call a fact? A true thing? No, man, it's just a truth. A fact is something that you want to say is known, and say is right, but can't necessarily prove in the moment. That's a fact. It's like, you mean it's the truth? Why do you have to say it's fact? Like, now I'm totally suspicious. That sounds like bullshit. But I digress. And now I'm going to tie in um, Dave's beautiful words of noteworthiness. We speak in our community, and I, being responsible for my own conversations, I speak a lot to perception and manifestation and the physics thereof. Perception and manifestation, the world that we live in. And it can sound pretty out there, right? Like, even fuck it. I'm gonna stay with what we read already, but I'm gonna read what Dave said already one more time because it's worth fucking hearing again. All right. You consciously have to override Maya illusions by standing as God source and declare self-sovereignty within the play, knowing consciousness trumps all reality traps. Like, beyond Maya, like, there's no real, and that's, and that you and I'd love to think that was like a part of our like consciousness community language, but Maya is the basically it's like, it means illusion. If I were I don't want to get into anything in case you either know what Maya means, in which case I don't have to explain it, or it's, you can just think that it means like the illusion of stuffedness, of perception of the world, right? Like the if you imagine like the whole world are just atoms, and what's wrapped around, what the atoms are wrapped around is reality, and then the atoms thereof, and the shapes and the sounds and the lights thereof that they make, it's all the illusion. Illusion's not a bad thing, it's just not real. But that's what like user interfaces are for, right? Like your browser, your computer, it's an illusion. I'm not really here. I'm here, but I'm not there. This is an illusion, but it's a useful illusion. Right? So there are useful illusions, but like that's all English, right? But we've been conditioned in our prison to hear words like consciousness, God, like source. What do you mean sourced? What it's? I'm trying to find a word for whatever this all comes like of. Nothing is. Yeah. Clearly, that's where your thought came from, right? Sovereignty. That's a who word, right? Reality traps. Like we've been conditioned to hear language like that and think, oh gosh, hippie, spiritual hubbub. Actually, no, it's reasonability. This is natural philosophy. It's high intellectual, like high intellectual engagement. It's truth speaking. It's highly refined, highly practiced conversation about our life experience, and not our and not our preternatural social conditioning, but the words and the thoughts and the emotions that we found through all of that to take responsibility of and convey. So I know that a lot of what, like when I speak of shamanism, when I think of dimension, when I think and speak and communicate of dimensions and um, psychicness and other realms of being, of knowing, of multi-planar ideations of consciousness and thusly our being and our experience thereof. It sounds woo-woo, but only because of some like mainstream like television show saying so. I love uh, I love media, but I know exactly how to watch it. And because I know what I love and I insist on what I love, the universe turns around and like and meets me where I am. It uses what I love to bring more love to me and to communicate with me. But that takes choosing kind of, what I ingest as far as like media and what I don't ingest. But ultimately, I probably watch no TV whatsoever if I don't even want like if I lived closer to a forest or it didn't cost me money to have to go to one and the ocean or just greater nature. And I don't even have to like be I probably would watch like some no TV if I had um, human beings around me that loved me like I love them and showed me and like expressed it that that's just them, that's just their life. Because that's part of like the dummying of mainstream media. Right? Like, why do you think like our like the gossip magazines and that whole like Hollywood lifestyle is a thing? It's because we are in a way only designed to be able to have a capacity of how many people we connect with, how many people we feel like we can know. I mean, it's all bullshit, but there's some truth to bullshit. And that 100, 150 like tribe number, 5,000 is like the next level of like, that's as big as like a city, any city ever needs to be. Because beyond that, it's just that many people, like that many people just don't make sense together. Right? 5,000 people as like a city collective, and then 150 people of like 150 people that you know on a first name basis and can think of and relate to on any given day. And we need that. And part of like the imprisonment is to remove those connections to people that are really beside us, because only then can like only people that are beside each other can really help one another when it comes down to it. Like you can have a bunch of people that don't know each other but have guns and and have their sense of safety and security like value because it's their jobs or to take orders and follow orders, and they've gotten where they've gotten because they are people that do that and feel that way and will do that. They can be strangers to each other, but because they're paid and have a social pressure, not just a greater social pressure, but a pressure among their peers to belong and not stand out because they know what happens to those people that stand out. Uh, they 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 find themselves on the other side of the guns, and uh, people like that are still powerless next to um, like really any group of people that are going to stand beside each other in truth and love and reality. But you and I, we love each other, we'd stand each other, we'd live for each other. Dying for someone is the easiest thing to do. Living for someone, that's hard. And we would do that for each other. But if someone knocks down your door right now, I'm here. They could do it right now, and I'm powerless. You could see it, and you couldn't help me. But we want and need these connections, so we forge them through platforms like this, and then we get what we need through the TV. It's why we know what's going on on our plots, which is why certain plots. That's which is why all the fairy tales tell the same story, which is why so many like themes are kind of expressed in so many ways. It's because they're not their stories, they're not programming us. There are stories that have been stolen from us, which is why we all feel like heroes and also victims. And I don't mean victims as in because that word has been co-opted. I don't mean victims as like you're a victim. Oh, no. Sometimes being a victim is just like a victim of a crime. You're the one that like tragically something fucking bad happened to, and you need help. That's all. But because all our stories have been stolen, and we're surrounded by payees, there's no way for me to go on my adventure to help you, or for you to go on your adventure to help me. And we fulfill those truths through the stories that we tell. And because we're all one, I don't need to be making the television shows by acting or writing to be responsible for the media that I'm consuming. Like, I made them. I made the shows I watch because they're me. They're my stories. And I don't have a choice because I can't eat what I want to eat. I can't go out when I want to go out. I can't walk where I want to walk. I can't see what I could see when I want to see, even when it has nothing to do with anyone else. Because there are fences and gates and rules that I never got to say no to. Because yes means feeling like imprisonment. But that's way more than no. So what does it mean to feel imprisoned when the choices that you make, yes or no, both mean I can imagine being more free without hurting anybody, hurting less? And while these may be all good points that we can make together, I feel like I have a responsibility to stress this one point. For whatever reason, I'm being intuitively called to. Uh, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big believer in guns, but I'm mostly, as I mature, I'm just not a big believer in people having weapons of mass destruction over me, because every monster, like every person in my life that's ever gotten into like an abusive, not every, I'd say like 4 out of 5, have gotten into like abusive, um, like yelling, or like like exchanges with me, have threatened to call the police on me. I've been called to police upon twice, both by family, and both times because they knew and they did lie about what was happening to like get me. Do you know what that's like? Maybe you do. To be both times I'm standing there, both times I'm being attacked. One, my life was threatened. The other was my father. And they're lying about what's happening. And just like that, they've they've hired guns against me. What kind of world makes me feel safe? It's like the only people that the police officers make feel safe are people with money. Because if you have money, you've never had to think about how the law fucks you. Or worse, you've done it yourself, so you know it's possible. You're like, whatever, man. Both got a price tag. And that might be you. I don't think it's you. But it's probably someone you know. Or someone you can relate to. And we've got to be careful. Not timid, and not by treading careful. I've got to be careful with my language, because when I say careful, I don't mean like be afraid. Be careful. Being careful is what you tell brave people. You're off to do something brave. Don't forget to be full of care, because sometimes in our bravery and our courage, we forget to fill ourselves up with care, because we care so fucking much for what we're doing. Being careful, being afraid. Be careful, you might slip. It's like being full of care is not going to stop you. Be smart. Pay attention. Don't lose your footing. Be more specific. You telling me to be careful is just you telling me you're afraid for me. Don't be afraid for me. I don't need your fear. Can you tell I've been told to be careful my whole life? I'm full of care. Don't you worry. Yeah, I don't know. I just, for whatever reason, I feel it can't be stressed enough. You know what? It's because I'm seeing the deputization and the evangelizing of society. People are wearing masks because they're being sold, and it makes them feel like they're not, that they belong and that they're responsible. Hi, I'm a responsible person. I'm doing what I should be doing. And then if you're not, you're outside that world. It's like, I just know that it does the exact opposite thing that you think that you want it to be done. And like, don't believe me. In fact, don't even ask me to tell you. Figure that out for yourself. Trust me, it's your responsibility. But could it come to a point where like those same people have guns, and I'm not allowed to? There's no way that I'm allowed to defend myself. And then that's all it takes is for someone to call 911, which is like another like usurpation of powerful like numbering. But it's all and then tell them a story. It doesn't have to be true. But I'm fortunate. I'm not black. I'm not white. I'm the minority always to whatever's easier. Whatever's easiest. I'm always it's like if it's so it's just I've been discriminated in every way. Which is really fucked. But all it does is like open my eyes to how it's like I'm not black, I'm not white, I'm a man, and I'm discriminated in every way, which makes me no different than a black person, a white person, or a woman, anyone. Just have to realize that none of that protects you from being discriminated against when you're in prison. I think I'll end on that point. I'm going to connect with what Prophet Dave has said, and then we'll say good night for now. Oh man, we're on the same page. Thank you for saying that, Dave. So I'm actually not going to read what David said this time because it's poetry. It deserves being. Fuck it. I'm going to say it because I love it. It's just so good. Timelines, storylines. Consciousness weaves those lines, string theory, into cloth of next reality bag. Divine, sovereign beings. Tree is just your highest mind's growth within divine dreams. Welcome home, all souls who arrive home to this frequency of love and higher. Dave, you have always ever only brought smile and more light / divinity into any given moment of my life that we've shared together. I really appreciate your beingness. I really appreciate the way that you have that you share yourself wherever you go, and I'm grateful for every now and continued moment of our shared teaching, learning, laugh, smiling, noodling. You're fucking legend. And again, like I'd say about 4 or 5 times I hug a tree, I think of you. Like not like at the front of my mind, but I almost can't help it. Like when I'm like giving my love to a tree, like Tree Hugger Dave, kind of like pops up, and like it might even be like a really like half conscious laugh. But how awesome is that? It's not the name that associates that with you. It's the choice you make and how you express yourself. That when I do something as like pure and simple, like all loving, as expressing my love to like tree life, which I do like daily, like a little part of me thinks Sugar Dave, Sugar Dave buddy. Because that's the simplicity in my expression for nature and like tree. I'm a tree. It's all tree. Like love and appreciation. That simplicity is as clean and crisp as the way that I know you. It's all just that's money, man. That's just pure money. Amen, bruv. Yeah, yeah. The earth gets the love. The earth gets this beer. The earth gets all our kisses. Uh, I really enjoyed tonight's share. It had everything to do with everyone that ever sits and experiences this show with us together. I want to especially appreciate you for being here right now with me the way you do. Tons of clarity, tons of really beautiful insights. And I think we did a good job of staying light and creating light of a muddy and like insipid point of our shared reality. And by virtue of like how do you bring muddy, to bring clarity to muddy situations, all you need is stillness, right? And stillness in this way is just a shared sense of certainty. There's no water that's still forever, because water that's still forever doesn't get drunk from. But we're not splashing around. We're not making waves. We're just, but we're stating clearly what is the way it is, if it seems to be. And for all our rants and our raves, the thoughts, emotions, and feelings that have flown through the airwaves tonight, today, good night, good morning, every day, every way, always, always. It's been really pretty poignant and especially true, so I want to thank you. You're a fucking badass. I almost feel like special guest tonight, Sugar Dave, fucking legend. You check out the live chat, read his words, because he is fucking like badass. And I'm pretty expert myself, so like in my expert opinion, he's fucking badass at emoticoning. So so it's worth reading and letting it sink in. And his form of like the way he's communicating, it's him. So meet him. He's lovely, and he'll only bring. I think if you found yourself in his fucking presence, he'll only bring light and smiles to your eyes and your minds and your hearts. Thanks for being you. Thanks for loving. Thanks for doing all the hard things that meant staying true to yourself. And just like we noticed, like tonight, in that little exercise of like, look out into your world, be like feel the breadth, the allness of your heart self. Where's your heart? In your chest? No, your heart's everywhere. Feel your heart. Look and look in your world and be like, I don't choose that. I did not choose that. Like that's a no. No to this. Right? Um, After we sign off, or at any given time, whenever you fucking want, close your eyes, do the same thing, and pretend that there's love in your life that you don't know is there, but it's there. So if you don't know it's there and it's there, it might as well not be there if you're not noticing it. You know, uh, notice love in your life that's there, but you're not noticing it. But just pretend that there's love in your life that you don't know is there, and then notice it, and then feel that in your heart, which is in everywhere. Oh, legend! I love you all so fucking much. Thank God for you. Which is to say, thank us for you. Thank you for you. And thank you for me. I love you. Have a wonderful everything. Until again, stay blessed. Left to right, right to left. In every way. I love you the same. Which is to say, good night. Bye. And I love you again. Always.